a whole lot to talk about relative to this particular clip of Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson. What do you do when two of the worst people in the country are in opposition to one another? I also want to caution many of you out there. I think I've got a pretty smart audience, a pretty in tune audience, but I was looking on social media today and I saw all kinds of accounts that were acting as though Tucker Carlson has now turned over a new leaf and is not a white supremacist, is not a neo-Nazi with a bow tie. That's not the case. Tucker Carlson can be right about one thing and still be the worst person you've ever seen in your life. If Tucker Carlson, let me say this. Just because Tucker Carlson is not a flat earther doesn't mean he respects science. You know what I mean? Just because Tucker Carlson is right on this particular issue about not wanting to entangle ourselves in a conflict that is brought onto the world by Israel, by Bibi Netanyahu himself, doesn't mean that Tucker Carlson is right about anything else. He's a vile white supremacist who has said with his mouth, quote unquote, immigrants make our country dirtier and poorer, when he was a Fox News host. He has almost single-handedly normalized the white genocide great replacement theory, which used to be so controversial that neo-Nazis in the white power movement had to talk about it in their little private meetings. And now it's just been normalized by people like Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and Tom Homan and the rest of these ghouls at Project 2025. So I got two things here. You may have heard about this. Tucker Carlson had Ted Cruz on his show and they battled back and forth. And Tucker really did what journalists should be doing every time they interview Ted Cruz, outing him as a know-nothing moron who's only there for self-enrichment and power and proximity to power. He is an obsequious ass kiss to Donald Trump. We witnessed him try to stand up some kind of an opposition to Donald Trump during the 2016 campaign and ended up vanquished. He allowed a man who denigrated his own wife to just run roughshod over him. Again, Republican erotica, right? So Tucker Carlson did what every journalist, even at Fox News, journalists like Sean Hannity's not, that what they should be doing. Instead, they give Ted Cruz a platform to make himself look like an authority, to look like he's smart. Watch this very brief clip from Fox News last night.
You need an ICBM to get to America. If Iran gets a nuclear weapon, I think the odds are unacceptably high that we would find out with a mushroom cloud over New York City or Los Angeles or Tel Aviv in Israel. And
now, the problem with all of this is the same exact routine we've heard for decades. CNN played a little mashup yesterday of Bibi Netanyahu, who is just a Trump. He is just a corrupt politician who seeks nothing more than a fascistic grasp on power. It's what it is. And for decades, not for the last year or two, not for the last few months, not even for 10 years, for decades, he's been saying the exact same thing that he's saying right now about Iran in an effort to legitimize his grasp on power and to legitimize his warmongering. Watch this, and then we'll get to the Ted Cruz thing with Tucker Carlson, so you know the lay of the land and the history of what's been happening.
The deadline for attaining this goal is getting extremely close. And Iran, by the way, is also outpacing Iraq in the development of ballistic missile systems that they hope will reach the eastern seaboard of the United States within 15 years. By next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb. The foremost sponsor of global terrorism could be weeks away from having enough enriched uranium for an entire arsenal of nuclear weapons, that would place a militant Islamic terror regime weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
Since October of 1996, I was in the Marine Corps in October of 1996 in my early 20s. I'm 50 now. I turned 51 on June 27th in just a few days. This was a lifetime ago, and he's saying the same fucking thing he's saying now. And it all depends upon who you back, which team you're on, as to what you're following. If you're a Donald Trump guy, oh, we need to go to war, even though Donald Trump has time and time again said no war, we don't want war, we don't want war. We don't want war. We don't want to be involved in this. We don't want to be an instrument of Benjamin Netanyahu and his unprovoked preemptive attack on Iran. I guess one genocide isn't enough for Bibi. I guess tens of thousands of dead children in Palestine, that's not enough for him. The pile of dead women and children is not large enough for Benjamin Netanyahu. He needs to set his sight on Iran. Now listen, I'm going to get to this clip, but I want to say this. Is Iran as a nation an enemy of the United States? Yes. Are the people in charge, the clerics and these religious nutters, are they terrible people? Absolutely. Should they be ousted? The Iranian people have a say in that. Yes. I would say yes. If I were there, yes, right? But the people of Iran, they're not our enemy. They may say America's the great Satan. In a lot of ways, we're not great. But they're not our enemies. Just like the Russian people are not our enemy, and nor were they during the Cold War. This bloodlust for continued genocide has to stop. That's why we are in an effort to stop what is taking place in Ukraine, which was also an unprovoked attack, an unjustified attack on a sovereign nation. The same thing that's happening right now, but because Israel is Israel, well, you can't criticize it. They always ask, though, does Israel have a right to exist? They don't ask that about Canada. Nobody's saying, well, do you think Canada has a right to exist? What are you fucking talking about? Of course the nation has a right to, stop. And so yesterday, when Tucker Carlson sat down with Ted Cruz and just outed him like the feckless, low information rube that he actually is, it was a good thing. But again, it doesn't mean that Tucker Carlson is a good person. He might be worse than Ted Cruz. He just happens to be right about this one thing. Watch this, and let's talk about it on the other side.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not
okay.
even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay,
actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied, on behalf of Trump, that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive
No,
capacity.
we're not
at all.
bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
This is
Israel.
high stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Look, Tucker Carlson is not a journalist in any way, shape, or form. Is not. But journalists could take a lesson from how they have conversations and interviews with politicians like Ted Cruz. If Jake Tapper was to actually deal with Ted Cruz like this, people would actually get the truth, which he claims he wants to bring to the American people. They would see. It would be an expose of someone who claims to be an expert about things, such an expert that he has more knowledge than you about world affairs, about the countries that he wants to see decimated, its people killed. Because let me tell you, if you think Israel is going to be discriminate in its bombing, if you think they're not going to bomb civilian areas, all I would have you do is look at the genocide in Gaza. The turning off of water and services and food, creating a famine, killing women and children en masse, the premeditated targeting of journalists and aid workers. They're going to do the same thing in Iran, and they want our help. They want your tax dollars to fund it. They want us with boots on the ground, with planes in the air piloted by Americans. And because Donald Trump, for some weird reason, is under the thumb of Bibi Netanyahu, just a weak and feckless coward taking orders from this industrialized nation that apparently is so rich it can pay for the college of its citizens, pay for universal health care for its citizens, but needs our billions and billions and billions upon billions and billions and billions of dollars every single year. Tucker Carlson is a terrible person who had a conversation with another terrible person about something that a terrible person who's president is getting ready to do. All of them are bad. None of them are good. And I don't know what the takeaway is. Maybe you can tell me. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. Please make sure you're subscribed to this work. If you appreciate this channel, if you appreciate me, if I bring you value, please subscribe. You can also help me produce this content for $2 a month. Click the join button below, become a channel member, or go to my Patreon page, which is on screen now, patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. I'm on social media, just about everywhere. Not on the Nazi Twitter. I'm not active there. I don't post there anymore. Don't like anything there anymore. I did the other day. I was there downloading a video and I saw something and I retweeted it. And then I was like, oh shit, that's Twitter. Unretweet. So sorry about that if that was you. I thought it was Blue Sky. Anyway, I will see you next time. I love and appreciate you very much. Dangerous times. The most dangerous times. Be genuine. Take care of one another.